Hi everybody, this is another Flying Rookie video, and on this video I'm going to discuss what's going to be the future flight controller for my DIY X450 graphite quadcopter. If you guys have been following the progress of this project, this is the first quadcopter that I post on my YouTube channel, where I showed when it was first constructed, and I explained steps by step to how to put everything together to the maiden flight. So who was the flight controller that I already had over here. For those of you who doesn't know, then this thing is going to be kind of a small review of what would be my preferences when it comes to flight controllers and what's my experiences with the different flight controllers out there. Right now I got over here the FY90Q Pro. Over here this is the Hobby King KK. This is the first version flight controller, and here is the GU-344 flight controller from GU. It's the same flight controller that comes on the GU-330XS and the GU-500X. Okay, so pretty much I got the good, the bad, and the ugly over here. So all I can say is, from the three flight controllers that I have here, there's only one that I haven't used yet, so there's not that much what I can say about the one that I haven't used yet. But I could say, all I can say is based on the experiences from other YouTube quadcopter pilots that I've been in conversation with them, and they explain me pretty much the performance of the one that I haven't used yet. So I'm gonna start first with ugly, and the ugly is this one here. It's really cheap. That's the only beautiful thing that I can say. Why I say it's ugly is because I'm not a fan of using things that they are open circuit boards, just out there without any protection. That's what I love about this too. But it's cheap. I mean, if you buy from Hobby King itself, it costs less than $30. Then again, I don't know what would be the price for shipping it, because I purchased this from a US seller for $44. It's still cheaper than buying the FY90Q or buying the GU-344. Actually, the most expensive of this group is the GU-344. Right now you can get it for like $150. It's way cheaper than the price that this thing used to cost, like at the beginning of the year. This thing used to cost over $200. So it went down price $50, so it's really nice. This other one over here is the FY90Q Pro. The old version used to cost over $150, and now this new version costs $125. So from the enclosed systems is the best value. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because one of these two flight controllers was installed on this quadcopter over here, and I wasn't happy with the way it was performing. So I decided to remove it and put it on eBay and sell it, and keep the one that I'm used to. Okay, so the one that I will call the bad over here is the FY90Q. Probably a lot of you guys will be surprised why I'm choosing the GU-344 over the FY90Q, when supposedly this is supposed to be a superior flight controller. The nice features that I could say about this flight controller is that this flight controller got two flight modes. You got acrobatic mode, and you got the stabilized mode. And just like the GU-344, you can fly it on cross or X mode. Your quadcopter. This one flies on X mode. But other than that, there's a few things that I found this flight controller that I didn't like, and it's not my first flight controller. Actually, my very first flight controller is this one here, the GU-344, that came with my first high quality quadcopter. That was the GU-330XS, and that was my very first RC flying vehicle, my very first quadcopter, my very first hobby quality aircraft. And from the very beginning, I managed to set up everything right, and I managed to fly it. And in the first flights, I never crashed it. And I was new flying. And this one over here is like more harder to set up. It's more harder to tune. This one only got one gain adjustment, and you can adjust it either in the gain trim itself, or you can adjust it from the radio. This one mandatory, if you want to adjust the gains, it got 3 separate gains, one for pitch, one for yaw, and one for roll. And these 3 gains you have to set up right here. So unless you are an experienced pilot and you have good understanding about this particular product, you're going to be frustrated flying this. The other thing is that I have problems with isolated. My aircraft in the air was isolating a lot. That means that instead of just staying hovering steady, it was doing this. And I managed to tune it a little bit by adjusting the yaw, but all the time, it doesn't matter. So even if I was flying level, every time I was letting this thing go, out of nowhere, it was doing that. The only problem that I had is like I never got this aircraft to hover steady. I understand that when you get a little breeze, of course the breeze is going to carry your aircraft away. It does it with all my 3 quadcopters. That's normal. But sometimes I was flying this, and I was trying to hover, and it doesn't matter how much I trim the remote. Like every day I had to trim the freaking remote. It could be like a dead calm at the park where I normally fly, or the different other places I fly, and it didn't matter. I had to trim that remote every day because this thing always was drifting to the side all the time, or to the other side. It was drifting to whatever direction. It's like it wasn't consistent, Now, I would admit I'm a new pilot. I started flying this year in 2011. I started flying by the end of spring of 2011, so I still got a long way to go to learn more about flying. Still, this is the only thing that I'm interested to fly, multi-rotor aircraft. I don't care about helis, I don't care about airplanes. This is the only thing that I'm going to fly. Okay, it could be a Y6, it could be a Y3, it could be a X8. I don't care. It has to be a multi-rotor aircraft. So that's why I decided to try different products on the market. So in that way I understand it. So in that way I can pick what's the easiest way to go. I do have 24 years in experience with RC cars and trucks, and that's what helps me understand this. And this thing is so simple. It's the closest thing to working on an RC car and truck. It's not like a helicopter. You got servos, you got swatch plates, you got linkages. So if this aircraft is so simple, then why they make flight controllers so complicated? I don't understand that. Even this one, that I will say is a little bit more complicated, because this one you can hook it up to the computer. Actually, this one you can hook it up to the computer too, but as far as I know, the only thing you can do is just put new firmware in here. This one you can reflash it, and you can fly different types of aircraft with this. You can fly twin rotor aircraft like the B-22 Osprey. You can fly Y3. You can fly X or right now it's set up on plus flying mode. So this one is more programmable, and so far all the people that I know that are flying their quadcopters with this Hobby King, they are very happy. Actually, I even know people on YouTube that they changed this. They changed the FY90Q. They got rid of this to get one of these, and not because of the price. It's because this one is a better flight controller. according to them. Okay, so this flight controller, I haven't used it yet. Okay, this one is not even a candidate to be used on this quadcopter frame. This one's going to be used on a future quadcopter that I'm going to build, and it's going to be the first one that's going to fly on X mode from all my 3 quadcopters, because all my 3 quadcopters, they fly on X mode. This one's going to fly, this one's going to fly on cross mode, and that's the way it's set up already, so I don't have to do any flashing to change the flight mode. Okay, the other problem that I got with this flight controller, the FY90Q Pro, is that it's way too sensitive. It's like you gotta have an aircraft that is perfectly and 100% balanced. I understand you gotta balance the props. There's no way around it. Any aircraft that you fly, you have to balance the props. But unless I don't know how the industry works when it comes to motors. I know in the RC car and truck world, they sell motors that they are epoxy balanced. Okay, so the motors, they run smoother and they can reach higher RPMs. Now, when it comes to RC flying, these motors, they are outrunners, they are not in-runners. And maybe there are companies that they do sell motors that they might be a little bit more expensive and they are balanced. I don't know that. Maybe you guys know. But what I know is the motors that I got over here, they are cheap. I purchased these motors on this. They are 2212 Exceed RC Optima motors, and these ones I purchased them on Hobby Parts. I only paid like $15 each. That was really cheap for a US seller. So these motors, I believe they're no balance. I saw people balancing motors on YouTube, and it doesn't convince me to put a little piece of tape on an outrunner motor, or put like a zip tie. I feel like that's something that's just gonna come off, and you're gonna go back to square one. I don't know how permanent is that kind of solution. So all I can do is just what everybody does is balance the props, and the props on this quadcopter, they are perfectly balanced. So the tiny vibrations that you can hardly feel it from the motors itself, this thing just get all that vibration, and the aircraft is almost unflyable. It's just impossible to fly with this flight controller. So the only way that I managed to absorb all that vibration, it wasn't with these sticky pads that I got over here. That double-sided. These ones are the ones that come with the Gaui, and they are really thin. The ones that came with this flight controller, the FY90Q, was way thicker and way larger than this, and they weren't good enough to absorb the vibration. And then again, like I said, the vibration on this thing was insignificant. I was holding the aircraft in the air, I was revving it up from the radio, and I hardly felt the vibration. Still, the sticky pads that weren't good enough. The only thing that worked, and at least it comes with this, is this vibration isolation platform. It comes with this flight controller, and it got like 4 rings, and you got this upper deck over here, and when you mount the flight controller in the top, you mount it with Velcro. So I got Velcro behind the flight controller. Yeah, I got Velcro installed over here, and the flight controller is like floated on this 4 O-rings, and this is probably like the ultimate way to absorb the vibration. So you got to make sure that the center plate or your quadcopter is large enough to accommodate this platform, because if you got like a really small quadcopter, it's not really going to work. And you know, for that reason and so many other reasons, I consider this one the best. Some of you guys probably gonna hate me, and they're gonna put, you know, negative comments about why saying, you know, trash talking this. But you know what? Quadcopters, they're meant to be easy. You know, it's for people that they cannot, people that have never flown before, and they want to learn how to, put, their own RC vehicle together and fly the same way they do with RC cars, or like people like me, that they do RC cars and trucks all their life, and they want to fly, in the easiest and more painless way possible. And you buy the product that doesn't make it easy for you, then it's not worth, having it. So then again, this thing is going to leave it. So this thing came with a feature. It comes with 2 flight modes. One is the acrobatic mode to do 3D. That's something that I'm not into, because all I do is just basic flying. The only 3D that I do is with this TV over here. There's a 3D TV. I'm not doing no more 3D beyond that. Okay, so I'm not got plans to do learn to fly 3D. All I carry is FPV and aerial video, and that's it. But you got also another mode they call the stabilized mode. And the stabilized mode, what it does is, like, when you fly this aircraft, it's not going to let this aircraft tilt way too far to the point that the aircraft might flip in mid-air. And if you don't know how to recover, it's going to crash. But also, if you lose, for some reason, control, let's say just for the fun of it, you decide just to cut the throttle, and the aircraft is going to start tilting or flip over or whatever, this thing, the moment you give it throttle, this thing will stabilize it back again to the safe flying position. And why I say it's not my own experience is what I saw on YouTube before with people flying this aircraft in stabilized mode. They intentionally made the aircraft lose control by just cutting the throttle and let the aircraft free fall. Like they wanted to intentionally crash the aircraft, and then you just give it throttle and the aircraft just recovers. And that's a nice feature. I gotta give them credit for that. But with all the disadvantages that you get with this, the vibration issues, the complication of dealing with 3 separate game settings, that maybe for some of you guys will be the ideal way to, set up a flight controller, but it's no idea for me. And it might be no idea for a lot of people that they try to get into flying and they don't want to deal with any complications, complicated devices. So then again, this thing is going to eBay. I'm done with it. I even have plans to buy FY91Q with the GPS, whole position, the whole package that costs like around $400 because it's like 2 devices. And one got GPS hold, return to home, all that stuff, and add altitude hold, and it will work in combination with this because I wanted to build a Y6. And the nice thing about the FY91Q is that you can use it with that. But it's the same. That's gonna work the same way this one does. If that's not like a more refined product, then I'm done then buying from Faytech. And before I finish talking about this, the last thing that I don't like about this is that you have to ruin, I will call it ruin because I hate to cut cables or stuff that is working properly. When you fly a quadcopter, you got 4 ESCs. So from all the 4 ESCs, 3 of the ESCs, preferably ESC 2, 3, and 4, you have to cut the positive cable. You have to remove it from the connector and just transfer power only from one ESC. So ESC number 1 is the one that sends the power, and the other ESCs are not sending any power. That's something that you don't have to do with the GU-344. With the GU-344, you can, for all ESCs, you can plug it directly, and it's not going to cause any problems. The same thing with this one over here, the HK KK flight controller. You don't have to mutilate the cables. You don't have to mutilate your ESCs to get them to fly with any of these 2 controllers. But that's something you got to do with this. If you hook all 4 ESCs, sending power to this unit, you're gonna burn it. it's going to burn immediately. You're going to see smoke coming out of it. Okay, so for you to use this on a quadcopter, you have to cut the positive cable from 3 of the 4 ESCs that you're using. So that's another negative point they're going to give to this. So I'm done with FATEC. Honestly, even if that was a great price, and even they advertise it, that's probably one of the best flight controller on the market. They even show videos of the quadcopter flying with a cutting plier hanging on one of the arms, just to prove, you know, how stabilized they are. I saw people, they go as far with larger quadcopters, you know, putting like a big bottle of water. Still, in my case, is a big disappointment, and I'm not gonna recommend this to anybody, especially people that are new into the hobby, into flying and want to fly quadcopter. This thing, just stay away unless you know a friend, unless you are an expert in flying, or you got perfect understanding about this, about the logic of how this thing is supposed to be set up properly. It's not worth it to start into this hobby with this particular product. So this product, I had it before on this quadcopter, and my first 2 flights, I crashed it. You know, I crashed it, and I really caused damage. And the last time I was trying to give this a second chance, I don't have no video of that. I flew this quadcopter on the last month, November 2011, and I destroyed the landing gear trying to set up the games, because it got, like I said, it got 3 separate games. And luckily, I mean, the downside about this frame is like a cheap Chinese frame. I like it. It's beautiful. It's graphite, and it's light. It only weighs 200 grams, empty with nothing. Right now it weighs more because it got, you know, the motors, the ESCs, everything, the electronics. And luckily I was able to use these landing gears that they are made for the optional landing gears for the GU-344, and they fit perfectly over here. They fit just like they were made for this quadcopter. The nice thing is these landing gears, they are wider and they are larger, and still they are lightweight, so I don't feel like they're going to affect me. And as a matter of fact, it's going to help me have a more stabilized takeoff and a more stabilized landing, because the other ones, that were too narrow, and when you land all the time, you know, when I land, you know, one of the motors was almost tilting, you know, to the point of the prop, you know, to hit the grass, the ground, whatever. And at least with this ones, because they got a wider stance, that's not that likely to happen. Of course, you know, this flight controller didn't make it easy for me, so I know that this one's going to fly better. I got 2 quadcopters flying with this right now. And these the one that you saw from the previous videos. These the hover things, and I got a GU-344 here, and this thing flies beautiful. So I'm done with FATEC products. So then again, if you guys want to build your own quadcopter, if you decide to buy a frame on eBay and you don't know which flight controller is the best for you, I believe this is the best one. Even if this one is cheaper, this one, when you buy, it only comes to fly on X mode, I mean on cross mode. And this one, you got a little switch over here that you can fly either on cross mode or on X mode. So, and you only got one game, and you can program the game from the radio. So you can just leave this game set up over here on 50%, and the green cable over here, you just hook it up to the 5th channel of your digital radio, and you set up on 50%, but you can just go a little bit down, a little bit up until you feel your aircraft is flying perfect. So, in my opinion, this is the winner over here. Okay, but then again, I'm not gonna trash talk about this the ugly one. There's this one over here, because then again, I heard a lot of good things about this one. So when I decide to put it in my future Quadcopter project, and I testing everything, I will come with the conclusions of the performance of this particular flight controller. But right now, this one over here is the winner so far. Okay, so thanks for watching this video. I'm gonna come up with another video where I'm gonna fly this Quadcopter with this new flight controller and see how it performs, and see if the fault was the flight controller or if the fault is on the aircraft itself. And I'm almost sure it's going to be the flight controller, the guilty one, and not the aircraft itself. Okay, so please don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and share. And thanks for watching. Bye.